Hi, I'm Jami Philbrick for iamROGUE.com. I'm here in Los Angeles at the Staples Center where the LA Kings just beat the Minnesota Wild. I had a chance to watch the game with actor Colin Hanks, who's here promoting Season 1 of Fargo, which is now available on Blu-ray and HD. Here's what Colin had to say about the Emmy-nominated series. Let me begin by asking, when you first heard the pitch or heard the idea of doing Fargo, the classic Coen Brothers movie, as a TV series, were you concerned at all about, obviously that's a classic movie and doing this adaptation?
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit of a curious thing as to how they were going to adapt it or why they were adapting it. So yeah, I kind of had the same reaction that everybody else did, but once I read that first script, it was very evident what they were doing. They were doing something very unique and very different for television. They were doing something that lived in the Fargo universe but was its own story, its own chapter. So yeah, once I read that first script, it sort of put all the sort of worries and concerns away, and luckily people had that same reaction after seeing the first episode.
So tell me about working with Noah and sort of his vision for the project and how he pitched it to you when you came on.
Well, they had said pretty early on, they said, look, you've read the first script. He sort of gave me a little bit of a layout for how they were going to tell the story, that it was going to be its own sort of chapter, and that there would be, some little nods, subtle nods to the film and one specific connection to the film. But yeah, once Noah once I read that first script, that was really all that I needed. There wasn't really anything else that Noah was really going to tell me. I guess the one thing that was unique and very different was that the Gus character shows up for one scene at the end of the pilot. And he sort of explained to me why he was doing that. A lot of times you have these TV shows where you have to introduce every main character in the first 10 minutes, and he says, we're not making that kind of show. We're going to make a much more cinematic 10-hour film. And once I heard that, that combined with that first script, I was totally on board and said, whatever you want to do, I'm game.
What did you like about the character of Deputy Gus, and what did you think you could kind of bring to what you were reading on the books in the script?
What I liked most about Gus was that he was 100% aware of his shortcomings. Here was a character that was incredibly, almost to a fault, aware that he is completely ill-equipped for the situation that he's in. To have the opportunity to play a character that aware and have that be part of his character build-up is unique. It's different. A lot of times, you don't get to play characters like that. You don't get to play characters that have this weight and this error that he needs to fix. So that was really some of the things that really attracted me to Gus.
You've obviously done a lot of comedies in your career, and you've done a lot of dramatic.
Yep.
This series is sort of a combination of both. It's a very dark comedy. Is that an adjustment for you as an actor?
No, it's not necessarily an adjustment playing in a dark comedy. I sort of feel like, in a strange way, it's kind of easier in a sense. It's kind of hard when you're just in a drama and there is no levity or humor. And sometimes it's hard when you're in a comedy and there's no realistic tones to it whatsoever. So that sort of middle ground where it is dark and it is dramatic, but it also has its human moments, and those moments have a tendency to be pretty funny. For some reason, that seems more that comes naturally to me.
Yeah, it's more realistic.
Yeah.
The cast is amazing. In addition to yourself, Billy Bob Thornton and Martin Freeman and Alan Platt, just an amazing cast. What was it like working? Well, let's start with Billy Bob Thornton. What was it like working with him?
Billy Bob's great. I loved working with Billy Bob. I had a chance to do it before on another job, so I sort of knew what it was like going in, which helps. Oh yeah, it's always nice when you get a chance to work with someone else again, because there's a familiarity there, and you sort of know what to expect. And I like Billy Bob a lot. I mean, he's a really, really great guy. So that was fun. It was an absolute treat to work with Bob Odenkirk. We didn't get any scenes with him really, but or actually one or two. But
Did I hear there was a scene that you did with Billy Bob, but you and Billy Bob were not there together when you shot the scene?
Yeah, yes. The scene in the pilot when I pull Billy Bob, when Gus pulls Malvo over, we shot Billy Bob's side on one Friday with him there, obviously, and then we had to finish the scene about a week later, and he wasn't available. He had another commitment in Los Angeles, so I shot my whole part of the scene talking to a tennis ball.
I was going to ask, was the script supervisor or who?
At first it was a photo double, then it was a script supervisor, and then eventually I said, just give me an X and put it on the cameraman's shoulder, and I just did it like that, yeah.
And does that throw you off?
No, it wasn't difficult because I had already shot Billy's side, so I knew what Billy Bob's side was. I knew what Billy Bob had done. So it was actually it's very easy. Yeah, had I not been there for Billy Bob, it would have been hard. But I already knew what Billy Bob was going to do. Yeah.
Were, you knew what he was doing in the scene.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't that bad. I mean, it actually happens a lot in movies.
Well, tell me about Allison Tolman, because she's so great.
Allison's a force. She's awesome. She is the kindest, gentlest force you'll ever come across. She's great. I mean. There's obviously a lot of pressure on her, you know, it's her first sort of big gig, and you would have never realized that. She was perfect for the role and just an absolute joy to be around. She was, didn't seem to faze her at all, at least it didn't show.
Were you surprised by the success that the show had, the critical acclaim, also the fans really embraced it as well, and then of course the Emmy nomination?
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't expect anything really. You just sort of you never expect any sort of response to a show. You just hope that people like it, and you hope that it turns out well, and you hope people see it. And the fact that it turned out as well as it did, I was incredibly proud of. And then the reaction that it got, and you know, the nominations and everything that's followed has just been just icing on the cake. It's been fantastic.
Were you disappointed when you found out that season 2 takes place 30 years before? And
I had a feeling about season 2. I was sort of mentally prepared myself for that. Yeah.
In a show like this, are you waiting the whole time? You're like, are they killing me off this week? Am I, you're reading the script and like, am I going to?
No, I knew I wasn't going to be killed off. Yes, I knew.
The second season would take a different direction.
Well, they had signed me for a second season just in case.
Okay.
Allison and I were both signed on for a second season just in case they decided they wanted to go down that route. But I had a feeling. Based on all of the clues that Noah left in the scripts, I said, I have a feeling they're probably gonna tell a story set in a different time period.
Is there a possibility, since you signed on, is there a possibility of maybe a flash forward or some kind of bookend?
Oh, I have no idea about any of that stuff. Yeah, they don't tell me anything now.
Yeah.